I got distracted. So, if you're familiar with a little-known game called Magic the Gathering, you'll know that custom Magic cards are a super common thing for fans to try and make, taking your favorite franchises and figuring out how they would translate into Magic. Since Magic is a very complex game that has explored a ton of mechanics over the years, there's so much room to make cool stuff before you even need to think about custom gimmicks. Despite the fact that I only play Magic casually, I browse a lot of custom Magic subreddits, and I've caught the custom Magic bug. So, while I work on Stars of the City, I'm going to be doing a mini project, throwing together some custom Magic the Gathering cards based on Project Moon, and if I stick with the project, maybe I'll put them together into a playable cube of some sorts. Before I get started, let's set some ground rules and explain basic Magic the Gathering mechanics to make sure my audience can enjoy these videos regardless of their Magic knowledge. First off, cards have 5 different colors, which each have their own mechanical slices of the game to ensure consistency. Each deck you make will generally have 1 or 2 colors, but you can put any combination of colors together if you can make it work. To generate the colors of mana to play your spells, aka cards, you'll need lands, which you can play once per turn and they serve as your mana pool. You can tap cards by turning them sideways, indicating they've been used this turn. You'll place down creature cards, use temporary effects like instants and sorceries, put down ongoing effects with enchantments or useful tools with artifacts, etc. The little numbers here are their attack power and health, for cards that have them. Your creatures will attack your opponent, who will block with their creatures, and so on. That should keep you from getting too lost. I'll explain the basic functions of a card and how it relates to the Limbus company counterparts, so don't worry too much about the details. Now for ground rules. If I'm going to put these together into a set that can be played all on its own, I want cards to be versatile, especially since they're often going to have niche mechanics to fit the story. And one way I can do this is the use of dual mana symbols. These little pips can be paid for by one of 2 mana types, as opposed to most multicolored cards, which can only be paid for by both. This lets players experiment a hell of a lot more than they would if they had to build for both colors. Also, while I will have some custom gimmicks, most of what I'm doing will be basic Magic the Gathering mechanics. I'm only so familiar with a lot of the niche rulings, so making stuff like custom card types would be hell. Finally, I'm basing balance on vibes first and foremost. I prefer a slower, value-based game of Magic, rather than instant results and crazy combos, so many cards would not be meta in the overall game. Starting off, I'll be doing the prologue. Just 8 cards for now since I had a long intro. Starting with Dante, they are a 3-mana 0/4 that cannot attack. They're all colors, despite not having any colored mana. This is typically only important if you're playing Commander, in which case this would let you use all Sinners in a Dante-based deck. Dante lets you recast Sinners that have died or been discarded, and makes them cheaper if you do. Dante can also be tapped for 1 mana of any color. But since we don't currently have any Sinners, let's grab some. A contract, sealed, goes onto the battlefield and lets you choose 3 legendary creatures, and while this enchantment remains on the field, those guys are Sinners, so you can assemble your own little fan cast. You can also pay a bunch of mana to fetch Sinners from your library. I shouldn't have to explain to any card game players why this is strong. Honestly, this card may need a nerf already, but I'll leave it for now, since it has a pretty high cost to do so. I know this doesn't let you gather 12 Sinners at once, but with 4 of these in a deck, the max amount for most formats, you can achieve a flavor win. Now it's time for Purposeful Vehicular Manslaughter. Encounter in the Woods is a saga that does the following over the course of 3 turns. It turns one of your creatures into a pansy who can't attack, but lets you find a creature that costs the same as them. Then you can put a vehicle onto the battlefield without paying, then a vehicle of your choice will fight an enemy creature. But where would we be without a vehicle with which to manslaughter? Mephistopheles is actually quite bad, given you need to spend 12 power worth of creatures to let it drive as a 9/9, but as you feed it enemy creatures, it gets cheaper and cheaper until you have a free 9/9 and your opponent dies from repeated crashes. Speaking of Mephi, let's bring out our favorite bus driver. She's red or black, cruise vehicles beyond her normal means, and when she runs someone over, her vehicles get stronger and you draw a card. Deca Extraction lets us look at 10 cards in our deck, pick a creature we like, and pay mana based on its card rarity to put it into our hand. I know rarity isn't really a mechanic that's actually interacted with in Magic, but come on, I had to do something with it. Finally, hooligans serve as a nice, low-cost fodder, getting stronger in groups of little guys. That's all for this batch, and thanks for a ham in the Discord for helping with some formatting and creation resources. I'll be hosting these cards in a Google Drive for download if you want to mess with them. See you all soon!